Focused and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of November 11, Monday. I'm Riza Diaz. We kick off today's rush with Vice President Leni Robredo seeking an unlikely ally from the United Nations and the U.S. in dealing with the drug problem in the country. Robredo is set to meet with representatives from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime today. She said she's open to an investigation into the government's anti-drug campaign, but only if Filipino authorities fail to investigate alleged abuses or in war on drugs. Now, the Vice President previously said that Philippines may learn a thing or two from other countries that have been successful in combating illegal drugs. U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Soo Kim, tweeted his congratulations to Robredo on the new post and said that the U.S. looks forward to working with her on the drug war. Robredo added that there is also a need to reassess the previous methods done in weeding out drug users, which according to President Duterte himself has ballooned to as much as 8 million. Robredo says it may be time to drop the controversial Tokang operations since it already received a negative connotation because of the alleged extrajudicial killing involved.
Parang naka-reach siya ng certain level of notoriety na pag sinabing Tokhang, it is a war against the poor. I think it is upon us, it is incumbent upon us na mabago yung kaisipan na yon.
Former presidential assistant and now Senator Bongo reiterates Malacanang's earlier stance of giving all-out support for Robredo. NCR Police Chief Debold Sinas also says they are right behind her as she co-chairs the Interagency Committee on Illegal Drugs. Like Pidea, Sinas also extended an invitation for Robredo to join them on the ground during anti-drug operations. Sinas says as far as the police is concerned, their past efforts in combating illegal drugs has been successful.
At least for us, the operations to war was a success in terms of number of operations, in terms of the number of drugs na recovered, in terms of the drug loads neutralized, and in terms of lives we saved in the streets, di ba? Kasi kung hindi natin i-implement yan, ilang buhay ang mawawala at ilang mga inosenteng buhay na maging biktima ng mga drug addict na high sa drugs.
Palace also claims they have no problem giving Robredo access to intelligence reports on the drug war. This is despite some claims that the information may be used to boost complaints against Duterte. Malacanang says the government isn't hiding anything and records are open for her to take a look. However, Robredo is interested in another request, that's to have more funds for the drug campaign. Robredo is seeking an increase in the 2020 budget for the anti-illegal drug campaign, particularly for rehabilitation and prevention. In a radio program, Robredo said the 15 million peso allocation for the ICAD is not enough considering the wide scope of responsibilities involved. The Vice President says she will bring up the request in the Senate when they hold deliberations on the 2020 national budget. Meanwhile, Senator Ping Lacson is keeping an open line of communication with Robredo, who he says is now in a tight role. Lacson urged Robredo to watch her back and now that she is co-handling the administration's war against drugs. Lacson, who is a former PNP chief, says he is willing to work closely with Robredo in the anti-drug campaign despite having no formal role in the ICAD. And here are the other headlines we're watching. The Commission on Human Rights wants access to documents relating to the government's war against drugs. Philippine Star reports that the CHR is seeking such documents from the ICAD for transparency purposes. Robredo also sought access to other information on the war or on the drug war from related agencies and government offices. Business World reports that business tycoon John L. Gokongwei Jr. died on Saturday. He was 93. Gokongwei is a founder and chairman of Robinson's Retail and JG Summit Holdings, which owns Universal Robina, Cebu Pacific, and Robinson's Land. He was ranked as Forbes' third richest man with a net worth of $5.3 billion. This from Star Ngayon. Supreme Court Justice Diosdado Peralta is seeking for a security force to protect the High Court's magistrates. Peralta said a lot of people recommended him to form a marshal system like that of the U.S. Marshal Service. The Chief Justice was given the advice following the deaths of judges in La Union and Siargao. It's been almost a decade since the gruesome Maguindanao massacre, and the decision of the case was set on its 10th year anniversary. But the Supreme Court granted the proceeding judge another month to decide on the case. Marlene Alcaide has the story.
A decade has passed since the worst election-related violence took place, the Maguindanao massacre. Its promulgation has been set this month, but presiding Judge Jocelyn Solis Reyes asked for a 30-day extension. A request which the Supreme Court's newly appointed Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta granted.
That there are so many accused and there are so many victims in that case. Now, but we also allow meritorious motion for extension, and we understand her predicament, and we allowed her to have an extension of 1 month.
Multiple murder cases were filed against over 100 suspects tagged in the gruesome massacre. Under existing rules, a judge has 90 days to decide on a case upon termination of trial. The case was submitted for decision in August and was set to be promulgated on November 22. A total of 58 people died in the morning of November 23, 2009. 32 of them were members of the media. They were part of the convoy of then Buluan Vice Mayor Ismael Mahudadatu, who was set to file his candidacy. He was then challenging the Ampatuan clan. A group of armed men stopped the convoy and flagged and killed all its members. The Ampatuans have been accused of ordering the killing. Mahudadatu said he can look past the 30-day extension. After all, they have waited long enough for a conviction.
Yung binigay na judge na 30 days para doon sa extension ay napaka-easy lang yun. Nagkaantay nga tayo ng 10 taon. Sana pagdating ng 30 days na yan, yung conviction na inaantay natin, may labas na.
Since the start of the hearing, 357 witnesses from the prosecution and the defense testified before the court. There are more than 100 individuals accused. 8 have already died, including Andal Ampatuan Sr. The counsel for the victims' families, former spokesman Harry Roque, is fine with the extension, but he says the case shouldn't have stretched this long to begin with.
Hindi ka tanggap-tanggap na ganitong katagal bago magkaroon ng desisyon ang hukuman. Ika nga nila, justice delayed is justice denied.
QC Judge Reyes is given until December 20 to render a verdict. For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
On to some weather news. Pagasa is currently monitoring a low-pressure area spotted along the boundary of the Philippine Area of Responsibility. The State Weather Bureau reports that the LPA was 1,210 kilometers east of southern Luzon. Pagasa says the weather disturbance has a strong chance of intensifying into a tropical depression and may enter PAR over the next 2 days. Meanwhile, the trough or the extension of the LPA is bringing light to moderate rainfalls over areas in northern and central Luzon. Metro Manila, on the other hand, will experience fair weather today. The LPA's trough is also affecting areas in Visayas such as Tacloban City, while the Caraga and Davao regions in Mindanao will also experience light to moderate rain. Now, the rest of the Mindanao may expect fair weather. The PNP Academy saw a higher number of applicants this year amid a series of controversies hounding the National Police during the past months. Justin Punsalang has the story.
Around 22,000 PNP Academy hopefuls trooped to the testing centers around the country to take the entrance exam on Sunday. More than 1,000 of them took the cadet admission test at the Ramon Magsaysay High School in España, Manila. At around 5 a.m., applicants were already lining up outside the school. Some parents even tagged along to show support for their children. One examinee, Jamie Encabo, said she actually wanted to become a soldier but failed to get to PMA last year.
Ang pangarap ko na po talaga siya. So gusto ko din po kasi tumulong. Then yun, tulungan sila mama. Hindi lang yung map, syempre yung mga tao.
Encabo's mother said she's very supportive of her daughter's endeavors.
May trust naman po ako sa kanya. Kung anong ginagawa niya, Talagang sinusuportahan ko na lang talaga po siya.
Meanwhile, this other examinee said she wanted to follow the footsteps of her brother who's already at the academy.
Dati ko gusto rin na magpolis eh. So, kaya naging gusto ko na rin magpolis.
Siyempre, positive, hoping na isa siya sa mga pumasa, kagaya ng kuya niya the last time.
While some applicants are with their parents, this group of friends banded together with one goal in mind, to become policemen and serve the country.
Kinakabahan na excited kasi baka hindi makapasa. So mag-serve sa bayan natin.
The number of PNPA applicants this year increased by 54% compared to the 12,000 examinees last year. Once the applicants pass the PNPA admission test, they will enter the academy along with the almost 300 students who have been exempted from the exam because of academic honors. Those who will pass the exam will undergo a physical fitness exam before officially becoming the next batch of PNPA cadets in 2020. For News 5, Justine Punsalang, we are One News.
Let's fast break now to Sports Rush. Over at the PBA, Meralco took their 5th straight win, this time against Northport with a score of 103-89. Northport was initially off to a solid start, but Meralco began taking the lead during the second quarter. Meralco eventually defeated the Batang Pier on the arms of Anjo Karam, who boosted Meralco's score in the last 2 quarters. And for the second PBA offering, Magnolia beat the Index Road Warriors 71-72. At the first quarter alone, Magnolia was already off to a rousing start with 16-point lead. But the third quarter, Magnolia was already at the 14-point advantage, eventually leading to a strong finish. In college basketball, UST once again flexed its might over the UP Fighting Maroons in an 89-69 beating to force a do-or-die game in the step-ladder semifinals. 5 growling Tigers poured in double-digit numbers, including a 17-point production from Chabizo Yo and Renz Obando and 16 markers for Mark Nonoy. Kobe Paraz was limited to a season-low 9 points as the Fighting Maroons only made 3 triples on 17% shooting from beyond the arc. UST is now 3-0 against the squad from Diliman this season. Now both teams will fight for the finals ticket on Wednesday.
We were praying during the season that as the season progresses, we're hoping that they mature. And this is our 16th game already. Natuto na yung mga bata dun. Natututo na. And what's important is, naglalaro sila dun sa roles nila.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.